is the Mirza Family Professor of Islamic Thought and Muslim Societies at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. So it's a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your time. So
Thank you.
President Biden acknowledged in his speech hours ago that in the US, following the 9/11 attacks, there was anger and resentment against Muslim Americans, against, quote, true and faithful followers of a peaceful religion. I mean, it seems important, even 20 years later, that he reiterated this message.
Yes, I think it's an important message that President Biden gave there because Muslim Americans faced the brunt of the anger after the people in Afghanistan and the people in Iraq that followed America's wars on these two countries. So yes, it's a very important fact that he acknowledged these attacks on Muslim Americans and the way they were discriminated and all the things that followed in its wake in terms of hate crimes and a variety of ways of surveillancing of the Muslim communities by law enforcement. And that is still a matter that Muslim Americans are grappling with.
Indeed. Of course, the war on terror began in Afghanistan, but do you think this is the beginning of the end of it, or are fundamentalist movements still a threat?
Look, I think fundamentalist movements and violent actors in the name of any particular religion are always a threat, and we don't know where they come from. So there's no need to be complacent about these kinds of actors. What is important is that I think that there's going to be a variety of blowback from Afghanistan and from Iraq in a variety of ways. We don't know how, but you just have to put your ear to the ground in different Muslim countries, and you will feel and hear the resentment for the actions of the United States. And until such time that Americans cannot give an account of what happened in their name, I think we remain vulnerable in a whole variety of ways, both psychologically, internally, but also by global actors.
Mm. Groups like Daesh utilizes social media to attract followers. Why do you think the group is so attractive to some people?
Well, I think, Daesh just requires a internet kind of connection and a lone ranger somewhere who has some kind of resentment. It could be, personal, psychological issues that the individual might have, and the individual then interprets that in terms of global issues and why he or she is in that position. And with the result that they can easily draw those individuals in. It's largely psychological issues, and I know in my work I've talked to a whole variety of individuals that when they reach a particular point in their lives, it's very easy to sway them to a simple understanding of what is going on in the world. And I think Daesh succeeds in giving a simple interpretation of the condition of the world and the solution to the world's problems. And therefore, it is so important that Muslim leaders around the world provide a complex understanding of what the world is today. And sometimes what happens in the world might not always favor particular religious communities, and therefore one must be able to think long term rather than think in terms of kind of short term solutions and quick actions that might make an impact, but can impact the community and affect the community for decades, as we have seen in the post 9/11 era, that Muslims around the world were severely impacted by these developments.
Yeah, now that the war in Afghanistan is completed, or finished rather, do you think the US can improve its relations with Muslim majority countries?
That's going to be a challenge. And it will require the United States to come clean with a whole variety of Muslim countries. It will first have to come to terms with its own people. What it then would have to do is to build, confidence building measures with a range of Muslim societies. And I believe that the best way is to move forward with people to people dialogue. In other words, individuals, small groups of people in different parts of the Muslim world, and American people and Europeans begin to talk, because oftentimes governments also do some really crazy things in the names of their people. And I think the consequences is going to fall on individuals, whether these are people who served in the militaries and who died, or was suffering, after the wars. And, the real war actually starts after the wars are over, which are the psychological wars on the community. And the United States has a terrible problem of at least 18 veterans committing suicide per day. That's a very, very high number. And that means that the burden of war is quite high on the American public. And therefore, excuse me, the reconciliation that is required will require a certain amount of conversation.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Let you catch your breath there, Professor Ebrahim Moosa. Thank you once again for giving us your perspective. We appreciate it.
Thank you.